Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
All right. Hopefully my internet holds up today, y'all. Welcome back. You are now tuned into High at 9 News. Thanks for joining us. Not only to get High at 9 at noon, only to get High at 9, but also high noon on the East Coast. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. Today is Monday, January 30th. Also National Croissant Day, France's annual reminder to Americans that their vision of toast is superior to ours. National Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. Just because the weekend's over don't mean we can't keep shit popping. And International School Day of Nonviolence and Peace, originating 60 years ago by Spanish educator and pacifist Laurent Vidal in remembrance of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, aka Ground Zero for bullshit leftist woke policy. Everybody out there watching, please like, share, hit the subscribe button, and follow us at High at 9 News across all social media platforms. We're live weekday mornings on YouTube and Twitch, audio only on Clubhouse. And if you do choose the Clubhouse route, you can also participate in the show by raising your hand with a brief comment on the story presented. Getting things started today, it's the Green Street wheeling and dealing, mink coat rocking, private jet hopping, longest continually operating retailer in the game. He's universally known for smoking the best weed in the world, ducking and dodging Gretchen Gailey's debt collection attempts, and not giving too many fucks about your feelings. Y'all know who it is, the cannabis industry's very own Kaiser Brose, and my co-host, Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Rico. I hope everybody got rested and had a great weekend, because you know what? There's a whole bunch of news going on today. But today, my story comes out of Ohio. That's right. For all the Ohio players out there with Rico's efforts to be an R&B singer this morning. That's right. Out of the great Buckeye State, efforts to legalize marijuana in Ohio have been renewed. That's right. Lawmakers in the Buckeye State are discussing legalizing adult use cannabis. The issue was blocked from last November's ballot, but could reappear soon. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose reintroduced an activist-led piece of legislation that if passed, would legalize, tax, and regulate adult use of cannabis. If the Republican State House supermajority fails to adopt the measure in 4 months, supporters of the initiative can collect additional signatures to place the question before the voters in November. Sean Nestor, a local marijuana advocate, says the state is losing out on a lot of money. Michigan, just up north, has made marijuana a $2 billion industry and has employed over 30,000 people. So when we're right underneath them, it makes you look and think, should we be getting in on that too, says Nestor. If the state law passes, it does put a strong emphasis on local decision making. So cities and townships would have the ability to pass laws to say that we don't want any marijuana dispensaries or grow operations in our community. They put that up to the local community, but obviously those who wish to use it would be able to use it and reap the benefits of it, says Nestor. If passed, the law would impact communities like Delta and others in the Fulton County with pre-existing ordinances. Christina Heller works at Rise Medical Marijuana Dispensary in Toledo, and she says her business thinks legalized cannabis would impact business for the good and the bad. We already have things set in motion for us to turn the adult use along with the market. If that were to happen, we're looking at it from a business standpoint. That's it. that's what's going to be a lot of good opportunity for us, a lot of new patients, and a lot of people coming in, and a lot of new businesses in that aspect, says Heller. So it sounds like everyone in Ohio, at least the advocates, are excited for the possibility of this. What does my fellow correspondent say? Because this is Jason Beck reporting for the High at 9 News Hour.
Are there any more particulars? Does it tell us at all what they're trying to set up? Because we know this did not work the last time they tried to do it. Because
that's right. I mean, it sounds like it's just the same thing that they tried to pass before, that they're just having it reintroduced. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and when it comes to Ohio, one of the things that they need to address is the fact that they sell tenths out there and not eighths. That is just stupid.
What are JD Vance's thoughts on this, Jason?
JD Vance was asked for comment and did not comment.
Didn't he once say to execute all the drug dealers?
He said anything.
That's were his exact words. So I think JD Vance is going to be a hard guy to turn on this issue. Luckily, it's not his decision, given that this is a state issue.
It wasn't so hard to turn him into a conservative, was it? You know, he used to be. He was.
He did used to be a lefty. That's true.
Just saying.
Yep.
Pivot game strong.
Yeah. No, I hope Ohio can do this. I mean, the people are right. You know, with having it in Michigan and a whole bunch of surrounding states. You have Illinois that has it. I mean, they're just missing out on a whole bunch of money out there.
Jason, I think it's Illinois, not Illinois, right?
No, first of all, you cannot silence the S, or else no one could ever be silenced if you silence the S, and that's why it's Illinois.
He's trying to silence the voiceless.
Yes. Speaking up, yes, the letter S is important.
Always. What are your thoughts on this, Chris Eggers?
I have family in Ohio. First of all, the Ohio 10th, yeah, that's weird. I hope it happens. They do this. Is this true that they release the amount of dispensaries based on geographical location? Can anyone talk about that?
I mean, they did a similar setup in Pennsylvania, because you got Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, nothing in between. So they based the number of dispensaries off of the actual population and not off of the geography in the state there.
I love what I wish more counties would follow in suit in this nature. I mean, think about the fact that there's major cities all throughout California that still don't have any kind of cannabis commerce whatsoever. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And in my county alone, Placer County here in Northern California, we have to go to Sacramento or have a delivery from Sacramento come to us. And that's at least a 20 to 30 minute drive, about 10 to 20 miles, depending on which area you're going to. And, you know, a 2 hour to 3 hour wait sometimes.
I mean, and Ohio is a very rural state. And frankly, in the cities that they have aren't huge either. So you got Cleveland, you got Columbus in the middle, and then you got Cincinnati at the bottom. That's about it.
Akron?
Akron doesn't count. Akron's
what about Chattanooga?
Yeah.
It's Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
What about it?
Hey, I do like what Benson said in the chat. He's like, does Nicholas Shea have a monopoly this time again also?
Yes, he does. Nicholas Shea, Nicholas Shea was trying to monopolize all of the licenses early on. Him and John Boehner were in collusion with each other.
You wouldn't call it cahoots?
In cahoots?
Yeah. There's a new song coming out called that.
Cahoots? Is it about Joe Biden and all of his documents?
No, Shea was just trying to turn the temperature up on the race to the first license.
Trying to turn up the beat.
Turn it up to 98.
How'd that work out for him?
98 degrees.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay, next.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
You gotta get your boy band game together. That's in sync.
Yeah, that part's true. Yeah, Matthew, we got Mathieu St. Germain today running the production ends, filling in for Adam while Adam is flying back to the West Coast today from Buffalo, New York. So yes, now, so Mathieu St. Germain, we got to run our first.
We're gonna run that commercial.
Yes, let's run it. Let's see how you do. All righty, everybody. Coming up next, we have the dope dad himself. That's right. It's Rico Lamitte. When Rico's not babysitting, you can find him coming out and getting day passes to come and hang out with us on Saturday evenings. That's right. Coming. That's right. We came and hang out. We went to the Auto Flower Cup. We got to smoke some of the best weed in the world, which was my weed. And we got to drink some of my alcohol and got everybody a little twisted and gifted.
A little litty.
That's right. Yeah, a little titty. And
The
then
crossfade is real.
Yes. And then we had some very in-depth talks around policy and cannabis and all of that good stuff. And Rico stayed on point with his, destroy everything campaign. Destroy it all and build it all back. That's right. It is the dope dad himself, Rico Lamitte.
There's no growth like new growth, Jason, and you know that. But my headline today comes from Benzinga by Maureen Meehan. Ron DeSantis law and order proposal includes life sentence for making fentanyl attractive to children, while the rest of America reels from yet another set of videotaped public lynchings, with more black bodies caught on tape being disposed of by taxpayer-funded armed murderers cosplaying as bad apples in blue uniforms and badges. The Sunshine State Governor, ultimate alpha Florida man, and an inevitable Donald Trump primary challenger, Ron DeSantis, decided there'd be no better time than now to release his proposal to, in his words, further cement Florida as the law and order state. DeSantis' proposal is an obvious effort to galvanize Florida and national hardline conservative support and establish himself as the most anti-woke, anti-gay, anti-Disney, anti-cannabis man in the land. A worthy on-brand sequel to his other recent proposal nixing Florida high school AP courses on African-American studies. The proposal endorses a multifaceted game plan to combat fentanyl distribution by imposing additional penalties on opioid and other drug-related crimes. DeSantis made an announcement at a press conference Thursday evening held at the Miami Police Benevolent Association Hall. Should it go forward, the proposal will make it a first-degree felony in Florida to possess, sell, or manufacture fentanyl and other controlled substances resembling candy or other sweets. One of those controlled substances, cannabis. DeSantis' proposal would add a mandatory life sentence and a $1 million penalty for trafficking any of these substances that he says target children. The move's amplified national advocate calls for the Biden administration to officially remove cannabis from the DEA's list of Schedule I controlled substances, where it currently sits next to heroin, LSD, meth, and ecstasy. Many note Republicans running for office leading up to and through November's midterm elections have sought to link drug smuggling to undocumented immigration in the wake of Joe Biden's recent addiction healthcare reformative initiatives. Should the proposal move forward as is, medical dispensaries operating legally in Florida would have to destroy and dispose of all edible products containing THC should they be in the form of candy or sweets, or risk being prosecuted. With Donald Trump fully reinstated on Elon Musk's Twitter and now Meta's Instagram and Facebook, the social media platforms responsible for catapulting him into mainstream political relevancy 2 years after being suspended for inciting violence tied to January 6th insurrection, where he allegedly used the platform's reach to encourage hard right activists to storm the Capitol and quote unquote fight like hell. A nation of spectators await the next move of each. And I think we all, regardless of personal political leanings, can agree at this point 4D chess is indeed the worst game of all time. Those of us old enough to remember the 80s know the only way to end an elephant fight of this magnitude and truly determine a winner and champion of American conservative hearts in times of heightened white citizen fear in urban areas and widespread lack of respect for the boys in blue doing just the right things, to doing their jobs to protect affluent neighborhoods, is another Willie Horton campaign. Question is, 35 years later, will the 2023 remake be filmed in Tallahassee or Palm Beach? Only time will tell. But I'm interested in what the rest of y'all think about this one. Is DeSantis going a little too hard in the paint with a blanket ban on all Florida's controlled substance sweets and edibles, or is a protective move necessary to preserve the innocent youth of America? I'm Rico Lamitte, dopest dad on the street for High at Night News. What do you think about this one, Jason?
Good grief.
I mean, so you're basically. I want to make sure that I'm understanding this whole story correctly because I was a little confused on some of the parts of this. You're basically saying is that Ron DeSantis is pressuring the Biden administration to deschedule cannabis, so in that way, cannabis is not included in this new bill.
No, he's including all
He's
controlled
including it.
substances, including
All
cannabis.
everything.
I mean, it's a controlled substance. It is what it is.
Advocates and activists for cannabis are pushing the Biden administration harder because if this goes through, no edibles, no chocolates, no candies in Florida will be allowed. And if you are caught even possessing them, it's a $1 million fine minimum and life in prison.
What?
Hold on a second. This is
what?
Hold on a second. So this is only for edibles and gummies, but it doesn't affect actual flour.
Or anything resembling candy. Any sweets or
whatever.
Candy.
Not just fentanyl though, but actually
not just
you're talking
fentanyl.
about
no any controlled
substances. Control any controlled substances.
So
what?
So
no, dude.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, we know he's very.
This is definitely being mischaracterized somehow.
He's
That
very.
is exactly
Whoa.
what it says.
Hold
All
on.
controlled
With
substances.
policy
You can look-
anyway.
Jason
but-
Beck's signature move, the back pedal.
Yes.
This is
Control.
definitely being mischaracterized.
I just don't understand why cannabis keeps getting thrown into the same lump sum of all of these other chemicals or compounds that actually kill you.
Because it's Schedule 1.
Culture war.
Because it's Schedule
Right.
1 drug. Because it's a Schedule 1
doesn't-
drug.
But they're not. The outcome is not the same. You know what I'm saying?
No,
We agree with that.
here's the
He's
deal.
just
Hardline conservatives.
If you look back, Nixon and Haldeman and his aides specifically discussed with Hoover, the FBI, as well as the CIA, the drug war, making the drug war, ramping up the drug war, because the problem was the Students for the Democratic Society, other left-leaning free speech organizations, the hippie movement, the Back to the Land movement, the Black Panthers, the American Indian movement, the La Raza, and the United Farm Workers before they were a union movement were all coalescing into a strong anti-war coalition. And so they couldn't attack, because of our Bill of Rights, they could not attack these people for their actions because they were peaceful, they were not seditious, they were not violent. And so what they had to do was ramp up the criminalization of cannabis, because cannabis was the nexus, it was the axis that all of these groups were connected through. All of these groups were connected through cannabis use.
you telling me it wasn't the internet?
And by making a beneficial, easy to access, non-harmful plant illegal, they could then begin raiding people, surveilling them with the FBI, CIA, and local law enforcement. They could destroy the anti-war movement. If you look at 1968, the Chicago Democratic Convention, the trial against the Chicago 8, the
Chairman
disinformation campaign through COINTELPRO against the Black Panthers and others, the assassination of Bobby Seale, the assassination of Fred Hampton, the imprisonation of Lawrence Peltier. That's why, Mandy, it's a clear attack on peaceful, anti-war, pro-people of color movements. Or
Straight up.
I don't know.
Come on, conservatives. What y'all got to say
I
about
don't
this?
know. I don't know. Like I said, I think this is
Your
being very,
presidential
very,
candidate.
very, very, very mischaracterized. He's not my presidential candidate. No, but we do have Michelle from the audience to give comment on this. Michelle, Miss Boston Leaf, what do you have to say about this?
As a Florida born and raised resident, I'm just now living in New England because I had to run away from Florida and their awful cannabis laws, and to get medicine for my daughter. I guess I'm not going home because basically that is what we give her. We give her a gummy as she gets older. That's what she needs because it needs to be consistent. And what the hell? I'm totally in shock by this. And I know that there are so many parents that are like me, that they do use gummies and things like that to get kids to eat medicine that they wouldn't necessarily want to have with a tincture. That's all I have to say.
I don't know. I'm willing to put money on the fact that there's an exemption in this bill for cannabis gummies and whatnot, as long as they are sold through a licensed retailer in the state of Florida. I'd be willing to put money
They
on
said
that.
that truly needs to destroy.
I understand, and I said from the beginning that I think that this article is mischaracterizing.
It's
the
not just the
situation.
article, it's the true proposal too. If you go to the actual proposal, and I'll put the link in the chat right now, the actual proposal is the same exact thing. All controlled substances, fentanyl and all other controlled substances resembling candy or sweets.
With fentanyl.
Unreasonable.
And all other controlled substances.
All controlled substances, including fentanyl.
Isn't it time we just admit that the drug war doesn't work and education is superior to this, and we stop trying to institute a version of Christian Sharia upon a populace who doesn't even go to church? And
Yes.
we really just start talking about realities here and stop controlling other people's behavior, or let's just start chopping people's fucking heads off, bro. Come on. Like, I'm tired of the middle ground.
Freedom.
There's going to be absolutely
living in
no
lies. Like living in lies. Like this is just so unreal.
So let's just say this law went through. So what you guys are telling me is that basically the easiest, smallest sitting ducks would be all the dispensaries that sell gummies, and so therefore the cops would just go into the dispensaries and arrest all of those people.
Well, it's not.
I'm not buying that for a second.
I wouldn't say that, Jay. I wouldn't say that, Jay. But
destroy him and get rid of him. I would hope
there has to be more to this story. There's going to be a follow-up story for sure to this.
I would say
this
they
sounds
probably
like
make
a bunch of skewed news.
Yeah, I think they'd make an exemption for dispensaries, but you could be like just somebody trapping gummies to your bros in Miami facing
if you're trapping gummies, then you have to then you're going to end up being victim possibly of this. That's just a reality. Then that's why people get more money in Florida, because it's higher risk.
I don't know. Every single time I hear about having a certain state getting rid of a certain type of product line, all I think about is all of the other states that are going to allow it, who are going to ship product illegally there. And the black market is going to continue to flourish. Good luck, DeSantis. You and your crazy ideas.
Oh, man. I mean, there is a major fentanyl problem going on.
The Republican
candidate and the rest of the country.
This does leave the door wide open for Donald Trump to be 100% pro cannabis, like we were talking about on Saturday evening, Jason.
It does, bro. It does, and we were actually talking with people directly tied in with the administration in regards to that. Yeah.
This episode, we're gonna tag him, right? Like he's gonna get the opportunity to hear us and our opinions.
Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's grasping for any kind of attention right now, especially because Diamond and Silk is down by one member.
Hold on.
I could be that black representative. I can.
He was spotted. He was spotted on the weekend wearing a shirt that had number 47 on it.
Was he really?
Yep.
Where's he spotted?
No.
On the golf course. On the golf course, yeah. Go to Jack Pasibak's Twitter. Go to Jack Pasibak's Twitter, and he posted up the picture.
Y'all can't come up with a better candidate than DeSantis or Donald Trump.
No, they can't.
I mean, I haven't seen the Democrats come up with anybody better. I mean, look, they put up Joe
Bernie
Biden.
Sanders.
This is whataboutism. I'm talking about y'all right now.
No.
I'm talking about y'all.
Donald Trump's the best candidate.
Well said, Rico. I like that.
We want to know the truth from you, Jason.
Donald Trump's the best candidate. That is the truth.
Gretchen, before I give the introduction, I haven't heard a peep out of you. What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on, Gretchen? You haven't got in this at all. What is up?
Because I'm not wasting my breath on something that's never going to happen. This just barking at the wind. And frankly, you're an idiot if you really think Trump is the best that the Republicans can put out. You're killing me.
He is.
Killing me.
Oh my God.
Just factual information, Gretchen.
Okay.
You don't know. Jason Beck facts. Jason Beck facts. You live in the same world as Donald Trump.
It's like a neighborhood.
The same spray tenant booth as Donald J. Trump.
I mean, Palm Beach is a great neighborhood.
I'm sure it's lovely, but it's with a lot of disillusioned people who don't live in reality.
Oh my gosh.
People who don't know the price of a gallon of milk. That's who live in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
That's because they spent all their money on eggs. They can't buy any more milk.
All these woke policies drove up inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
exactly.
You can catch her any day of the week sparring with pot-loving liberals across the aisle. But at night, this spicy Mayflower-rooted redhead conservative is also known in certain circles for dressing up pit bulls in pajamas and cooking up delicious treats enjoyed on both sides of the aisle. Up next is the founder of Pan-Op Strategies and High at 9 News' very own Washington insider, Gretchen Gailey.
Good afternoon. My headline is coming from Marijuana Moment. And the headline is Congressional Researchers Detail Growing Gulf Between Federal and State Drug Laws as Psychedelics and Marijuana Reform Advance. Congressional researchers say there's a growing gulf between federal and state drug laws as states have started to pursue psychedelics reform, expanding the policy gap that already exists as it relates to marijuana. The Congressional Research Service released a comprehensive report last week of the Federal Controlled Substance Act, which describes current statutes, scheduling considerations, the state-level policy landscape, and options for federal lawmakers. It touches on marijuana legalization, safe drug consumption sites, and the burgeoning psychedelics reform movement. A clear theme develops throughout the report. Congress has the authority to change federal drug laws, but has declined multiple opportunities to do so. And the result is widening fissure as state lawmakers continue to enact reform. While that has already been apparent for marijuana for decades, the gap has broadened even further in recent years as states like Colorado and Oregon have moved to legalize certain psychedelics for adults with an emphasis on their therapeutic potential. And as the first few weeks of 2023 have demonstrated, legislators from numerous states are taking notice on the issue and working to enact their own reforms. The CRS said that there is a growing gulf between federal and state law with respect to Schedule I controlled substances with potential medical benefits. While it's well known that there's been a gap between federal and state regulation of medical and recreational marijuana, the report goes on to say it appears that a gap may be developing with respect to other Schedule I substances, such as psilocybin. As with state marijuana laws, these changes do not alter the status of the affected Schedule I controlled substances under the federal CSA. The report goes over a number of marijuana-related bills that have been filed in Congress in recent years, ranging from proposals to legalize the plant nationwide to provide protections for banks that would work with state-level cannabis businesses. Bipartisan lawmakers on Capitol Hill have also started exploring psychedelics policy amid the local reform renaissance, and one bill to mandate rescheduling of psychedelic breakthrough therapies that was introduced last year by Senators Cory Booker and Rand Paul is expected to be refiled soon for the current session. Another sign that federal lawmakers are keying in on the widening policy gulf is the fact that bipartisan House members announced late last year that they'd form a Congressional Psychedelics Caucus to focus on the issue. There's already a Congressional Cannabis Caucus that's been working to close the marijuana law gap. The new CRS report emphasizes that state-level reforms don't preempt federal law, but the author said that the disconnect has allowed collateral consequences arising from the federal prohibition of marijuana to fester, as people who violate these as yet unchanging CSA may face difficulties obtaining federal benefits, employment, assisted housing, student financial aid, firearms, for example. Another drug policy issue that congressional lawmakers were advised on concerns were for safe drug consumption sites, which are harm reduction sites where people can use currently illicit substances in a medically supervised environment to prevent overdose deaths and give people treatment resources. Federal law has been interpreted such that the facilities are illegal, and that's why the Justice Department under the Trump administration sued to block a Philadelphia-based nonprofit from opening a site. As the CRS detailed, the litigation is ongoing, leaving questions about the current federal position as it has come to embrace the principles of harm reduction. The DOJ and the nonprofit Safe House recently agreed to transfer the case out of federal district court and to mediation before a magistrate judge in order to finally reach a resolution after numerous delays. In the meantime, uncertainty remains as to the legality of supervised consumption sites under the CSA. Congress could wait to see if other courts address the issues, or it could seek to resolve that uncertainty by enacting legislation. While I greatly appreciate the CRS for pointing out the obvious, it would be nice if people actually started to take note. My biggest fear is that things like psilocybin are going to fall into the same issues that marijuana has and are also going to have the same fight in trying to get legalized. And it's all just going to be a runaway show until Congress can get a backbone and actually do something. This is Gretchen for High at 9 News.
I agree with you, Gretchen. I think this definitely conflates and conflicts with cannabis as far as us trying to get something cannabis-wise done. It's definitely going to slow everything else down.
I think we should ignore the government, continue to grow cannabis and mushrooms, and share them freely.
Agreed.
Why would we share them freely?
Because we've done enough to know that generosity, generativity, and sharing is how we, the one human family in the world, are going to get through this thing.
But how are you going to pay? How are you going to pay to grow it again and get all your growing supplies if you don't charge anything?
Bro, Jason, money is an abstraction, and we can choose to abandon it at any moment. In fact,
it's an I'm not buying that.
I'm not abandon it until Jason Beck pays me. All right.
Speaking of which, Gretchen, I checked
saw
my
the
mailbox on
100
Sunday, and I
grudges.
still don't have a letter in there from you. Still,
That's
whatever you
ridiculous,
sent
Beck.
has not arrived. But look,
You're
Gretchen,
jag off. Pay me.
look, Gretchen, I got a whole
Jag
bunch of
off.
hundreds all right here for you.
Oh snap!
Ooh,
You're just
ooh.
some bitch. Some bitch. That's what you are, Jason Beck.
It's all hundos, all hundos. One of these can be yours, Gretch.
Don't call me Gretch. Only Rico can call me.
Wow.
I'm gonna put that on the bill for Gretch.
Either way, I hope psilocybin will fare better. I don't think it is going to fare that much better. When
It has zero chance of that. The only way it's going to fare better is if the pharmaceutical industry starts creating some type of medicine for veterans suffering from PTSD and whatnot, and then it just goes straight into the pharmaceutical and has zero chance of being on a freedom market like how we envision cannabis.
Hey man, given that it does not have the baggage, the racial baggage that cannabis does, you know what? I think it's gonna go by quicker, man. It's gonna go through a lot smoother than anything we're seeing in the green lane, in my opinion.
I do agree that it doesn't have the same stigma attached that cannabis definitely does. Not the history of baggage that you say, but I don't see Congress wrapping their heads around psilocybin first. They can barely wrap it around pot. I don't see that.
I don't know. There seems to be so much movement around getting like other facilities open where you can go and get treatment. And there's so many cities and it's big cities that are coming
It's
online.
all hype. It's all Democratic run cities though, Mandy. It's all Democratic run cities. You have no Republican led cities that are online like that.
That's because the Christians don't want you to alter your mind with mushrooms and have direct connection with God. It disrupts the profit motive of organized religion.
That is ridiculous.
If you don't have an intercessor that can intercede between you and God, and you can contact God directly, there's no reason to give the priests money.
Then why do they tell them?
Why do
they tell them to pray to God? Why do they tell them to pray to God? Why do Christians tell them to pray to God themselves? You have your own relationship with God. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
exactly. If you join our Discord, there's a channel called The Wormhole, and what I'm doing is I'm compiling a list of books and evidence-based, just facts, murals, books, first-person historical accounts that detail the proto-Christians, how Christianity was actually an astrotheological mushroom cult, and how it was hijacked by the Roman Empire to create a social control system based on sexual suppression and our intercession between us and God and taking us out of the natural world. And I'm just throwing down facts there. So when you see us arguing here, go to the Wormhole and do the reading for yourself, because there's a clear to see track between what's happening. And the number one reason psychedelics were made illegal is because when the CIA tried to use them to brainwash people and create mind-controlled assassins, what they found was instead people were having direct connection with God and nature and being depatterned and being freed from all of the social conditioning.
Facts.
And also, too, if you want to know how to get to our Discord, just scan that little Scantron up in the top left corner of your screen, and you'll know where to find us at.
Bam.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe you covered a mushroom story, Gretchen.
Yay!
I covered a congressional story, Jason.
It's still a mushroom story.
You miscategorized her story.
So it's all right. It's all right. I covered my first mushroom story last week. It's all right. It's cool.
No, you made up some bullshit trying to.
No, I didn't.
Once again, push Jason Beck facts upon.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
No. You're killing me. Killing me.
Flying into LAX and you want to taste some of the best weed in the world? Then stop by LAXCC, the closest dispensary to LAX. Located at 8332 Lincoln Boulevard and open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. Always make LAXCC your first stop when you touch down in LA and score like a winner. And don't forget to tell them I sent you and mention you'd like to get high at 9 for 10% off your full order.
You read that disclaimer, man?
I'm getting there, bro. I'm just scrolling it down for you right now because the thoughts and opinions and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of any other speaker or its followers. The statements made do not constitute legal or accounting advice, and our speakers make no representation regarding the legal status of any substance in any country, area, territory, or any authorities. The views expressed in this room do not establish any fiduciary relationship, and our sponsors do not imply or constitute any endorsement by us or the expression of any opinion whatsoever on the part of any speaker on stage. If you're an easily offended person, this show is probably not for you. and maybe you should try some mushrooms.
Maybe. He's a former cop who made the conscious choice to trade in an SU gun and badge for a blunt and a notepad. When not on stage with us reading the weed news, this fellow dope dad's a security consultant. Oh,
we're supposed to pay a bill. We're supposed to pay a bill. Run that DNA ad.
Yes, sir.
Man, thank you, Matthew.
We're getting there.
All right. If you want to grow some of the best weed in the world, then you must start with the best genetics in the world. Go to www.dnagenetics.shop to order regular, feminized, or autoflower beans. All of your favorite DNA genetics cultivars such as Kosher Kush, Skywalker Kush, and oh yeah, Chocolate Truffle Shuffle. Boasting more cannabis awards for their award-winning genetics than any other company in the world. Remember to go to www.dnagenetics.shop to see why our terps don't lie.
Oh, yeah. Rewind it a little bit here. He's a former cop who made the conscious choice to trade in an SU gun and badge for a blunt and a notepad. When not on stage with us reading the weed news, this fellow dope dad is a security consultant at CC Security Solutions, dedicating each day to improving your chances of survivability as an industry operator made vulnerable by the shortcomings of a failed years-long effort to pass safe banking. Coming to the stage next, you know who it is, my man himself, Chris Eggers.
Fellow dope dad Rico Lamitte, thank you for the fire intro. My article this Monday morning comes out of Maryland, Montgomery Village, Maryland, actually. Call it 420 with the 50 ? Smoking with the police, said Mr. Maxbury. Last Thursday night, he and a dozen other medical marijuana cardholders volunteered to consume cannabis at the Montgomery County Police Department Training Center to help officers learn how to spot what it looks like when someone is stoned, according to this article. Mr. Maxbury said, quote, I think it's very hard to tell how high somebody is and how that may affect their motor skills. If this is to help shape that, then I think that's more understandable, he said. Police are ramping up this training because they believe they will soon need more of it based on stats from other states that have legalized adult use marijuana. Captain Brian Dillman of the Montgomery County Police Department said, quote, I am worried because I know unequivocally that this is going to increase the amount of impaired drivers we have out in the streets. In July, adult use marijuana will be legal in Maryland. And with no breathalyzer for cannabis, police are using this training to teach officers how to spot drivers under the influence of the drug. Quote, in addition to their observance in driving, what in the field sobriety test is an indicator that they're now under the influence of something that's impaired their ability to be able to drive safely, said Dillman, who explained that final decision on whether to charge a driver with a crime will come from the department drug recognition expert, who may or may not also rely on blood tests because there's no breathalyzer yet. As for Maxbury and other volunteers, after 30 minutes of consuming cannabis, officers practice their field sobriety tests with them. Officer Dillman said, quote, there are signs of his normal coordination in an impaired way, which confusing me, but there's a lot of other factors that go into it. And we really have to look at this as a case by case as a whole. I guess if they're able to shape what they're looking for a little bit better, I think it should be able to help, said Maxbury. So in addition to smoking cannabis with officers, and I guess, every 30 minutes or so, they're testing their field sobriety tests. They will also have a DRE come. Now, I can tell you as former field training officer with the San Francisco Police Department, a lot of officers on the streets today struggle with conducting the SFSTs, which are not, in California at least, are not required by law. You are required to submit to a chemical test when and if you are arrested for DUI here in California, and that is a deal you make with the DMV that has nothing to do with law enforcement, but you are not required to conduct or participate in the roadside field sobriety tests. There's also a lot of other articles out there that we've touched on in the past with respect to the breathalyzer for cannabis, but nothing is on the market today. My fear with that is that law enforcement officers are going to be too reliant on that. It's my opinion that they're too reliant today on the PAS device, which is the roadside breathalyzer, which you also do not have to participate or take in California. that's my article today. Thanks for allowing me to contribute. Happy Monday, everybody. Curious to see what everyone has to think about this.
So, Chris, are they allowing people to drive stoned and watch them? Because it's kind of misleading.
No, I don't think that they were allowing them to drive, but I think that they were consuming and then conducting field sobriety tests so that officers could have some experience in actually understanding what people
look like when they're high.
Exactly. But I think under a controlled environment, right. And you have the data to say exactly what this person consumed, right. Ideally. So versus out in the field where somebody could say, oh, I didn't smoke, or I only drank, or, something like that. You're not ever entirely sure. But just for for clarification, a drug recognition expert, it's training I completed right before leaving law enforcement, more so out of curiosity. I knew I was going to leave, but in California, the stats on that when I took the course was less than 2% of officers in California have taken that and passed that type of training.
I mean, I want to. So Nick says that isn't true, Chris. He says the California DMV does, in fact, require you to submit to a sobriety test. You sign a form when you get your driver's license stating that fact. And I think he's right about that, because you cannot do a sobriety test, but they still have the right to take you to the station and draw your blood.
So, but the rule in California, Nick's right. I'm right. He may have misinterpreted how I said it, but you don't have to get out of the car and do the follow my finger. That is not required in California. You do not have to do the PAS device. But the DMV rule says that if you're arrested for DUI, you shall submit to a chemical test. So Nick's absolutely right. Maybe I said it weird, but he's right.
It's all good. We just want to make sure everyone's clear that if you are driving in California and they do arrest you for this, you are subject to something. Yep. And I think most people always recommend, I know all the lawyers that I know recommend, they say don't do any field sobriety test. They say just go down to the station and get your blood test.
Spend the night in jail if you have to.
Whatever it is. That's right. That is exactly right.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm on board with Maryland doing this. What the hell? I don't care. I
mean, Gretchen, all they're going to be doing in Maryland is just arresting everyone that eats green candy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all DREs are trained to know that if you smoke weed, that your tongue turns green.
They do actually say that. Jason's not wrong there.
See what I'm saying? So don't eat sour apple candy, or else you're gonna go to jail for a DUI.
Regardless of whatever bullshit you're spewing, Jason Beck, I still think it's a good idea for when there's opportunities for more training and to understand things that perhaps they don't understand. Perhaps you get someone who's like a Mathieu St. Germain who smokes up whatever they got for half hour and then is perfectly normal. And I would love for them to see that people.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
personally, I think
it's an opportunity for cops to interact with this plant, which they have not had the opportunity to do so, and so I applaud it.
I think that cops should have to go through a part of their law enforcement training. Well, part of their training should be trying these different substances for themselves.
Part of the training of all law enforcement should be eating a 10 strip.
Oh, wow.
Let's just do this, you guys. Come on.
Go in.
You guys are silly.
How do you say no to
guys,
that?
Oh, man. You guys are so silly.
Hey, Jay.
Ayahuasca ceremony for every police officer.
Yeah. Let Don the Con know I got a free 10 strip for him, bro. I'm down to sit with him, too.
I bet.
We'll get through it all, dude. I'll hug him for what his dad didn't do. Come on.
Come
here, Donnie.
Aww,
come here, Donnie.
Are you gonna wear the lion suit when you do?
I'm gonna wear whatever you want me to, baby.
Oh boy. Oh man.
Let's hit that ad, right?
Yeah. No.
It's not weird.
Oh, yeah. He's a cannabis wizard doing his damnedest to continue the work of the Merry Pranksters and the Brotherhood of Eternal Love. Alongside the Hogwarts PhD and Trippin' Balls, he's also the co-host of What's Good, the Cannabis Flower and Hash Review Show. He's also on Radio Free Earth and boasts over 33 years in the game for sales, of course. because you can't do anything if you don't have sales, genetics, and cultivation. Coming up next, it is none other than the Mathieu St. Germain.
Thanks, y'all, and happy Monday. Boy, I'm doing a bunch of stuff at once. Watch this. Boom. DMT for depression? Clinical trial finds hallucinogen significantly reduces symptoms. As we venture further into this new era of psychedelic innovation and discovery, more folks are becoming aware of the potential benefits of substances like psilocybin, LSD, or ketamine. But what about N-dimethyltryptamine, or DMT, an active chemical in the hallucinogenic plant brew ayahuasca? UK-based biotech company Small Pharma is conducting the first major study of DMT and its potential for treating major depressive disorder, MDD. The company, which focuses on short-duration, psychedelic-assisted therapies for mental health conditions, completed its Phase 2A clinical trial, finding a significant and clinically relevant reduction in depression symptoms 2 weeks after dosing compared to a placebo group, according to a news release. Intravenous DMT with supportive therapy was shown to have a significant antidepressant effect that was rapid and durable, with a remission rate of 57% at 3 months following a single dose, said Dr. Carol Routledge, Small Pharma's chief medical and science officer. Because of DMT's short hallucinogenic duration, it's possible the substance could be an even better clinical alternative to other psychedelics requiring longer treatment sessions. The trial is one of the largest for a short-acting psychedelic, involved 34 patients with moderate to severe MDD, that's the depression, and those who were already medicated were withdrawn from treatment prior to dosing. Patients were given a short IV infusion, and that's how they get past the smoking and can really control it. And it was a 20 to 30-minute psychedelic experience, because the moment they turn off the IV, you're sober. The 2-phase study also included a blind, randomized, placebo-controlled phase where the primary endpoint assessed the DMT group versus the control group at 2 weeks post-dose. All participants were enrolled into an open-label phase of the study, which enabled the assessment of the durability of the antidepressant effect, along with comparative efficacy and safety of a 1-dose versus a 2-dose regimen of DMT. Researchers said, following analysis of key secondary endpoints, that there was a rapid onset of antidepressant effects 1 week post-dose, though no apparent antidepressant effect was observed between a 1 and 2-dose regimen of intravenous DMT. The intravenous dose of DMT was also well tolerated by all patients who received an active dose, with no drug-related serious adverse events, including suicidal ideation behavior or being tongue-tied. The results are exciting for the field of psychiatry, said Dr. David Erizzo, a clinical psychologist at Imperial College London and the chief investigator for the study. For patients who experience little benefit from existing antidepressants, the potential for rapid and durable relief from a single treatment as shown in this trial is very promising. Small Pharma CEO George Siris also spoke to the potential impact of the trial's results, particularly for those hundreds of millions of people who live with MDD worldwide. Citing the greater confrontation of psychedelic medicine addressing the decades of failure on behalf of pharmaceutical drugs, Siris said the scale of unmet needs merits the further investigation of other, more effective remedies. Our goal is to develop proprietary, scalable, and reimbursable short-duration psychedelics with supportive therapy to address this need. Research surrounding DMT and ayahuasca is still limited, as is most psychedelic research surrounding mental health in the grand scheme currently, though it is beginning to slowly amp up, as similar studies boast promising results for the psychedelic treatment of otherwise treatment-resistant mental health conditions. And one of the things I would posit with this is that big reason for the antidepressive effects of psychedelics are they link you to consciousness, God, or the force of nature, and all of a sudden you understand that the universe is alive and cares for you, and you're a part of a greater organism than yourself. And what that will do is will allay some existential depression and this feeling like the universe is some cold, empty machine. Also, one of the big reasons that DMT, there's no real side effects, is our bodies actually make DMT. Our brain makes DMT. And the reason we're not high all the time is because we also make something called monoamine oxidase, MAO, in our gut. And so intravenous and smokable DMT works by getting into the blood past the gut. And that's why we get a short-lived effect, because our body actually ramps up MAO to get us sober. And ayahuasca works because it combines a plant that inhibits the MAO production in your stomach along with the DMT. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys would say. I could talk about psychedelics all day and night. You already know me. Here you go.
St. Germain, I did not know that you could do DMT intravenously.
Yeah, so the first experiments on were Dr. Rick Strassman, and he did a Harvard study on spirituality and DMT, and that's where he got into the intravenous application, because smoking, there's no way they were going to get federal funding for anything you smoke, right?
Well, but what about vaporizing it?
Well, so here's the thing also, like if you vaporize it, you get above a certain threshold, you appear to be unconscious, even though you're conscious. And so you'll end up coming down. Whereas if they put an IV into you, they can basically keep you at whatever level they want, really precisely for whatever duration they wish.
Okay.
And so because it's more controllable, more scalable, more dosable, then it lends itself to studies better. And one more thing, maps.org, maps.org. They're a public policy foundation doing scientific studies on psychedelics with the VA, the Johns Hopkins Institute, the Mayo Clinic, and others. And they're working to get psilocybin and MDA legalized. Look them up, maps.org. Give them some money or see how you can help them.
Yes. First, I just want to say I'm obsessed with your hat.
It's a bicycle day hat. There's a bike and a rainbow for Ellis.
It's not what it looks like to me.
I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And also, I just want to say thank you so much for the wealth of knowledge that you share with us about psychedelics. I mean, I learn something every time you're on an episode. And so thank you so much for that. And also, folks, as a former mental health counselor, someone who ran a nonprofit counseling organization for a number of years, this medicine is the pathway. It's, for generations, we haven't wanted to talk about mental health needs, right? It's been very taboo to go get counseling. And think about the fact that like this plant, this medicine is such a quick answer to solving so many long-term problems. It's, as an advocate for mental health services and access for everybody, this just makes so much more sense, and it's so much more cost effective. The government is paying all kinds of charities all over the globe to give, free or low cost counseling services to people. But think about just one medical treatment with DMT or psilocybin or LSD. I mean, there's so many different components out there that would help people kind of be able to snap their brain out of the zone that it's in and into the way it's supposed to be functioning.
Word.
I mean,
so is it pronounced? Is it psilocybin or is it psilocybin?
Psilocybin.
It's psilocybin.
Bro, you just said it fast like you were frying on mushrooms. All right,
and it's psilocin too. I used to say, it's psilocin
but
as well.
I think one thing everyone should know, just in regards to this, is that DMT, when you consume it, it creates a chemical reaction in your brain that only happens twice in your lifetime: when you're born and when you die,
and possibly childbirth for women.
Not to mention DMT. Not to mention DMT is known also as the spirit molecule, and it is the one molecule that is found in every single living organism on the planet.
And guess what? Guess what species of plant the burning bush was?
Acacia.
That was weed.
No, it was Mimosa hostilis, acacia.
It was hemp. It was hemp because it was legal.
Nope. Moses was doing gravity bong hits of DMT up on Mount Sinai, you guys.
Give it to him, Saint Germain. Give him. They don't want to hear these facts. This is DM motherfucking T.
Dude, I took over the show today. I'm gonna mute all you guys. Go backstage. I'm taking over. Saint Germain's LSD news.
Oh man.
Next.
Here we go. We got to get to Manndie. She has a real big story, real breaking news story coming up.
Let's do it. Bringing us home today is the product extraordinaire and serial cannapreneur known for blazing trails and doobies alike at Camilla, Canagram, Canamami.org, and the Women's Canna Awards competition. A NorCal-based Emerald Cup edibles judge known to some as Carmen Sacramento for her never-ending international quest to find the world's most perfect cannabis and psychedelic edible experiences, and to many more as a crusader for female entrepreneurship on a mission to show the world cannabis, motherhood, and executive lifestyles do in fact go together. Y'all know who it is. Coming to the stage is Manndie Tingler.
Good morning, everybody. Today's article comes to us from the LA Times, and it, unfortunately, is a sad one. The show on a sad note, but here we go. Months after a Times investigation into corrupt and deadly cannabis industry, state leaders signal a crackdown. And welcome to the Essential California newsletter. It's Monday, January 30th. Cannabis has become a multi-billion-dollar cannabis industry in California, but some parts Green Machine could face new scrutiny from state makers. Last year, the LA Times published Legal Weed, Broken Promises, a series of examining the fallout of California's recreational cannabis legalization in 2016. Times reporters uncovered political corruption and an increase in illegal cultivation, rampant wage theft, and hazardous, sometimes deadly conditions for workers. Now, some legislators have signaled plans to examine corrupt and conditions within the industry, which one referred to as the, quote, wild, wild west. As my colleagues Paige St. John and Adam Emmerich report, some leaders are also calling for, quote, new laws to thwart labor trafficking in response to revelations of rampant abuse and worker deaths in a multi-billion-dollar market has become increasingly unmanageable. Last spokesperson for the state's Department of Industrial Relations told Times reporters that the agency is examining the deaths of 32 cannabis farm workers uncovered by the Times and never reported to work safety regulators. Many of the workers died of carbon monoxide poisoning. Workers told reporters they lived outdoors without sanitation or sufficient food, and that certain employers had directed them to charity food banks or forced them off the farms at gunpoint without pay. The Times investigation documented allegations of exploitation against more than 200 cannabis operations, representing over half of licensed grows in the state. The series also chronicled rampant corruption within city and county level cannabis business licensing, with some officials allegedly accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars from business owners in exchange for permits. The exploitation was something labor advocates had previously voiced concern about, noting that federal labor protections would probably not help workers when the industry is still illegal at the federal level. People dying from harvesting or processing cannabis is just outrageous, said Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer from Los Angeles, who chairs the State Assembly Public Safety Committee. It's very me that we finally get a grip on this and start to crack down. So far, it's just Sacramento. The first step toward official investigation and hearings is the committee and leadership approval that have not happened yet. You guys, this is a big article. There's a lot to talk about here. I want to hear what you have to say. This is Manndie at High at 9.
So they're saying they're going to like start ramping up enforcement, Manndie?
Yeah, I mean, there's been 32 unreported deaths that they were uncovered this last year. In 2022, there has been 32 unreported deaths in the state of California within cannabis business.
What was
but are we talking about licensed businesses or just cannabis businesses?
That's what they're saying. Licensed.
Yeah. Within licensed.
Licensed entities.
Yeah,
so you're saying there's 32 true leaves out here.
Yeah, if people are not getting paid and people are dying and showing up missing from licensed farms as well, man. And Manndie, since you're up there, what was the deal with Gavin Newsom vetoing the law that was supposed to protect cannabis workers on the farm? What was his point of vetoing that shit?
To be really honest, Rico, I can't answer that question for you. I don't know.
I mean,
I think it's probably because, you know, a lot of those unprotected and undocumented workers are on the almond, the strawberry, like whatever other farm are in California. It's gonna fuck up the California economy. I think it's probably as easy as just following the money on that one. But he had the chance to protect some of these workers and he chose not to. And I would not be surprised if he's making a bid for presidency, as he probably most likely will, that this will be brought up.
He's definitely making a bid for presidency. You can bet on that 100%.
I don't see why this would not be brought up. You know, how are you going to protect Americans, period, across the board? And saying some of these people are working at legal operations. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
We have we have Stephen.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Manndie. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say there's something else to just throw on the fire here. And the fact that, you know, Humboldt County, I think that this is still true. I haven't Googled this, you know, today, but a couple of months ago when I did Google this, Humboldt County has the most missing people per capita in the whole United States, right? And many of those are, you know, trimmigrants, right?
Well, you know what? You know what, Manndie? That's perfect time, that perfect cue, because we have Stephen up from the audience from up there in Mendocino, Humboldt County. What do you have to say on this, Stephen?
Oh, wow. You know, I really hope that they really dive really deep into this corruption thing and turn some of these local governments up on their ass, because they deserve it. I've seen it happen time and time again. to the point where, you know, a lot of these farmers have paid in, and have paid in so much, and they still haven't got a freaking license year after year. And nobody seems to recognize why. And the why is the reason why we still have corruption in this industry, because it's coming from the government, not just the government's allowing them. For every legal grow here in Trinity County, which I believe is maybe 20 now, because they finally licensed 20 farms out of 250 applicants. There are at least a dozen illegal grows per freaking legal grow, at least. And this is absurd. It is truly what's drowning us small farmers. It is truly what's killing this industry, because those illegal farmers, they don't care if they sell their pounds at $200 a piece. And because they don't have to pay the licensing, the taxes, or any of that. So, you know, it's way past time. You know, and it even goes into first, industry has, they still want to, let's say, point you out as a rat because you're calling the California authorities on them because they've ripped you off for your crop and haven't paid you. That's not being a rat. That's using the freaking appropriate paths to get paid, you know, and people want to still hearken to that reality, and it's not that reality anymore. And you know, and if anybody was to go to this, let's say, other farmer that owes one farmer, and actually take care of it old school, the farmer that was calling that farmer a rat for wanting to call the authorities would be the first one on the phone with the cops. So, you know, it's high time something happened. You know, I think if you take care of the corruption in the government, that's going to go a long ways with everything else. But thank you for letting me have your time.
No worries. Thank you, Stephen, for that. We appreciate it. Anyone else got anything else on this?
And we got to wrap it.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up. That's right. It is that time. We gotta wrap it up. Thank you all for getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank you to our audience and supporters for always tuning in daily and listening to the craziness that is the developing cannabis industry. Thank you to our haters for always talking about us and thinking about us, because we have the most immaculate pieces of property in your heads rent free, and you're always welcome to come over and visit, as long as when you sip, your pinkies are up. Huge thank you to True Classic iSpire, Wizard Trees, DNA Genetics, LAXCC for helping us keep the lights on. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing today. Thank you to Cannabis for giving us a reason to do this. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Mathieu St, Germain, holding it down for us, House of Fuego, and of course, Zaza Simone Brown holding it down for us in Clubhouse. Thank you all for helping us create this space, and thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. It's America's #1 daily cannabis news show
In the world, Craig.
Oh, yeah.
In the world.